Pokemon Renegade Platinum, a ROM hack created by Drayano that adds tougher fights. Is that an Entei? More encounter variety, an updated type chart, and an insane twist on the Elite Four. But today, I'm just hoping to even get there. This is the third game in the Drayano Gauntlet, a challenge created by pChal where you have to beat 4 difficult ROM hacks all in a row without using a damage calculator, and if you wipe in any of them, you have to go all the way back to the beginning. If you haven't seen the first 2 videos in this series, I recommend you check those out before this, but in case you need a refresher, this was the Fire Red Omega Hall of Fame team, and this was the Sacred Gold team. All of these Pokemon are now banned for future games because of the Hall of Fame clause. Can we safely make it to the final game of the Gauntlet, or are we heading back to Kanto? This is the Drayano Gauntlet. Welcome to Twin Leaf Town, a place that we aren't gonna stay too long, since we actually get our starter on Route 201. In my opinion, you should always pick Chimchar here, not only because it can have Iron Fist and be totally broken, but since it gives Berry, Empoleon, and Dawn Torterra, both of which are way easier to deal with than Infernape. Plus, if you really want Turtwig, you get a choice of the other 2 starters in Sandgem Town, and I see. This is a great time to mention that I'm playing pChal's version of the ROM hack, so there's some slight changes to certain things, like removing all repel manips and moving certain items and encounters. If you want to play it, check out his Discord, I'll leave his channel linked below. Speaking of Pokemon YouTubers, I've actually teamed up with A-Drive and Shady Penguin to tell you guys about their brand new project, Elestral's Awakened. A brand new 2.5D monster catching RPG coming to PC and Nintendo Switch that's directly connected to their first project in the Elestral series, the TCG. As a Pokemon fan, this game has everything I could ever want, like pixel art, god, I miss sprites like this, a Nintendo Switch port so I can play on the go, over 100 different Elestrals with 8 unique spirits, not even including their awakened forms, and a beautiful, diverse setting that's based in Greek mythology. Don't miss out on the Kickstarter campaign for this game, because it's going on right now, and it only lasts until November 7th. It's your only chance to get a ton of backer perks, like accessing alphas and betas for the game, getting exclusive in-game rewards like promo packs, and even the chance to become an NPC or a caster in the game. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in my bio or scan this QR code on screen to check out the Kickstarter for Elestral's Awakened before it's too late. Big shout out to A-Drive, Shady Penguin, and the rest of the Elestral's team for supporting my channel, and let's get back into the video. With Pokeballs in hand, let's quickly run through our early game encounters. In Twin Leaf Town, Consultant the Eevee makes a return, but heads straight to the box. Then in the grass outside Lake Verity, Referee the Starly joins the team. It's got Keen Eye, which turns into Intimidate later, so that's pretty nice. Route 202 nets us a pretty rare Burmy encounter, and with its new Battle Armor ability in this game, you'll definitely see more of Arborist. In Jubilife City, the first main city of the region, we meet a strange man talking to children in a trench coat. Ew. Then we get 2 new encounters. We're given a random Kanto starter in the Pokemon Center, which ends up being Chlorophyll Bulbasaur. That's pretty good for Rourke, and it'll end up getting Thick Fat when it evolves into a Venusaur. The other encounter is from an egg in the Trainer School, which has an equal chance to be any of these baby Pokemon. Except for Togepi and Happiny, those got removed. But after running around a bit, our egg hatches into a Riolu. That's actually pretty insane, especially with a modest nature and the adaptability ability, boosting stab moves even further. Trainer the Lucario is going to be crazy in this run. We've got 3 paths out of the city, so let's tackle each one. First, we hit up Route 218 in the west, fishing up Performer the Magikarp for his 3rd appearance of the Gauntlet. After that, we head north, grab a Badoo named Model, then grab a couple TMs before fishing up a guaranteed Barboach from the Ravage Path, named Influencer. That only leaves the east left to go, but Berry stands in our way, guarding the rest of Route 203. This battle is pretty standard, honestly, with his Starly, Piplup, and Munchlax going down relatively easily, so let's keep on moving. I opt to fish up a Corphish named Rockstar here, and it also has adaptability, doubling the stab boost on our water and dark moves. Should be pretty sweet when it evolves. After bringing Masseuse the Geodude back onto the team, we arrive in Oreburgh City, home of the first gym. Berry is being the equivalent of a guy on the TTC at 1 AM, if you know, you know, and we're just gonna leave him there and go get a couple more encounters. After buying up a bunch of thievable items from the Pokemon Center, we get another random starter, this time from the Hoenn region. We roll a Trico named Ranger, who doesn't have Unburden unfortunately, but hey, Grass Dragon is a great type, right guys? Right? Inside the Oreburgh mine, we grab Idle the Onyx, then we get a Moonstone from Rourke before sending his ass back to the gym. Bro, you can't mooch off your dad forever, go to work. Route 207 holds our final encounter before the first badge, and we get a Ponyta named Uma Musume that's not going to be much help. What? Yes, Uma Musume is a job. They say they're training to be Umas in the game. Read a book for once. With all the firepower we're gonna get, let's head inside the gym and try to get our first badge of the run against the Nepo baby of Sinnoh, Rourke. Rourke leads with Nose Pass and I lead with Monferno. He learned Taunt at level 8, and since we're faster, we can completely prevent Rourke's lead from using any of its status moves like Thunder Wave, Sandstorm, or Stealth Rock. That leaves only Shockwave, which Monferno tanks pretty well, so after a few priority Mach Punches, Rourke's lead is down and second up is Geodude. I swap out to Grovyle, who tanks Resisted Bulldoze, but even with that speed drop, we're still faster. A single 4x super effective Mega Drain takes down the Rock Ground type, and Rourke decides to hand me another free KO by sending out his Onix third. It only has resisted moves against my Grass type, so it just sets up a Sandstorm before getting one-shot by another Mega Drain. Fourth up is Larvitar, which is another Rock Ground type, and I'm going to assume that it's going to Protect to activate its held Flame Orb and Guts ability. I'm wrong, obviously, since when I swap to Corphish, she tanks a weak Rock Tomb, also dropping our speed. That doesn't really matter right now though, since after we Protect for some burn damage, a priority 4x super effective Aqua Jet takes down our third Rock Ground type of the battle. Fifth up for Rourke is his ace, Cranidos, so I swap to Onix on a Thunder Punch that he's immune to, then we hit a super effective Bulldoze. That just got a one-shot KO. Okay, well, works for me. That leaves only Bonsly left for Rourke, but after we do half of its HP with the Bulldoze, it doesn't even try to kill us, just setting up a useless Stealth Rock before Onix fires off one more Ground-type move for his second KO of the battle. With that, Rourke's been defeated and we're through our first gym of Renegade Platinum. On to the next. Barry rips right past us, then we take down a pair of Galactic Grunts in Jubilife before we get given a fashion case? What the fuck is this for? Welcome to Floroma Town, home of maybe the most broken thing in this entire RomHack. Inside the Pokemon Center, you can buy thievable items from around the area, and since we get access to honey trees here, we can buy as many leftovers as we want. This item is literally so broken, and we're gonna take full advantage of it. If you ever see my Pokemon randomly jump up a few HP in battles from here on out, it's because the leftovers healing. There's another free gift starter here, this time from Johto. What? I forgot it? Really? We choose to help a kid rescue her dad. We're basically Superman if he was a pasty white kid sitting in his room playing Pokemon. Then we take out a couple more grunts before getting some reinforcements to save this middle-aged man. After slathering a honey tree, we grab Pageant Queen the Cherubi from the meadow. Then after running into a couple Elekkids, which are dupes thanks to my Fire Red Omega team, we add Pilot the Drifloon to the squad, before heading inside to deal with the first galactic commander of the run, Commander Marsh. Commander Marsh leads with Zubat and I lead with Geodude. It uses Confuse Ray on the first turn, making this really annoying, but after a few turns, a Tackle Rock Throw combo takes care of the first Pokemon. Second up is Bronzor, so I swap to Leftovers Prinplup, who also gets confused. But since Extrasensory isn't threatening our Sinnoh starter, like, at all, so we hit a few Bubble Beams, miss the KO by less than the amount of you that are actually subscribed, then bring in Ponyta to finish it off with a Flame Wheel. That brings out her ace Perugly third, but it literally runs away, like, immediately, bringing out Yanma to pretty easily get one-shot KO'd by a Rock Tomb. Yeah, that's right, get back out here. I've got a great duo of Pokemon to deal with this thing, so first, Onix tries to straight up win the 1v1, but Hypnosis starts to tilt me, so I bring in Onix's partner in crime, Wormadam. Having the Steel type with Battle Armor is pretty insane, so after tanking some resisted Feint attacks, a Mirror Shot finishes off the final Pokemon of the battle, and that's Valley Windworks saved. You better tweet about this kid. I like the north part of Route 205's encounter table better, so we're going to delay that encounter for now. That means we can head straight to the Eterna Forest, where we meet a familiar face that we met in Sacred Gold, Cheryl. She's not super tough here, mostly because her ace Chansey, which is normally the biggest threat, gets completely 1v1'd by Lucario, no problem. After we escort her through the forest, we take this loop around the side, and if you continue down this path, you'll find a single honey tree that always gives you a guaranteed Beedrill that we catch and nickname Politician. It also has adaptability like Lucario and Corphish, so getting a boost to our bug and poison moves should be awesome for the upcoming gym. Welcome to Eterna City, where we meet two blonde people, well, I guess 3 if you believe the Frosted Tips in High School rumor about Cyrus, and now we've got to go find Gym Leader Gardenia, who's out training in Canada. Along the way, we grab 2 familiar faces, Activist the Natu from Route 211, then we grab Secret Agent the Guaranteed Feebas in Mount Coronet. She does have Cute Charm this time instead of Marble Scale, which isn't awesome, but she does get the Fairy type in this game, so pros and cons. Route 216 smells oddly of maple syrup, but at least Manicurist the Swinub sticks right into the Pokeball. I don't know what that was. Just roll the next clip. We find Gardenia, and she notices that the prices of houses have increased by almost 120% on average, which is a complete and total failure manufactured by the government, giving private businesses unlimited financial bailouts while simultaneously punishing the working class by leaving them to fend for themselves in a terrible market that they created. So she decides to go back to the gym and work to afford it. This isn't political, by the way. Housing is a human rights issue, not a political one. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Who wants our second gym badge? Gardenia leads with Blossom, and I lead with Beedrill. God, I love this Pokemon. What a great design. Unfortunately for Gardenia, great design doesn't equal great stats, so an adaptability boosted super effective poison jab just gets us a quick one-shot KO, and we level up to 27, which is allowed in my rule set, by the way. Second up is her ace Roserade, and I don't feel like losing my best Pokemon for this fight, so I pivot through Xatu on an extra sensory into Wormadam on a sludge that she's immune to. Its best move against us is extra sensory, but since it's only doing like 11 damage, we can pretty easily chip it down with Confusion while staying healthy with leftovers and Protect. After a few turns, Gardenia's ace goes down, and third up is Cherrim. Since the AI should want to set up the sun to activate its Flower Gift ability, I take this chance to get Monferno in for free, while also getting a pretty nice 50% boost to our fire moves. Speaking of, Monferno secures a one-shot KO with a sun-boosted Flame Wheel, and next up is the Sinnoh starter that we didn't get, Grotle. I swap to Intimidate Staravia for free on a Bulldoze, and it only has resisted Seed Bomb to do damage to us. Wait, actually, that's kind of a lot. Well, we get some chip damage, then swap to Xatu to finish it off with Air Slash. Another one of my favorite Pokemon comes out fifth, Tangela. Look at her little shoes, she's got like little J's on. I swap to Wormadam again, mostly because Tangela has pretty terrible special defense, and that means after tanking a couple shockwaves, a super effective Bug Buzz brings down one of my goats, leaving Gardenia with only one Pokemon left, Breloom. I swap back to Xatu on a 4-time resisted Mach Punch, then pretty anticlimactically, we wrap this battle up with an Air Slash. With that, we've got our second gym badge of the run, but honestly, joke's on me because I'm still never affording a house. Oh, shit, eggs? Thank God, I am starving. Well, I could still eat it, right? I like to call this section of the game the fun four. We get to battle Jupiter, Mira, Dawn, and Aaron before getting to the next city, and all of these battles can literally send you right back to Kanto. That being said, let's cover these battles first, and then I'll backtrack and talk about any encounters I missed. Sound good? Awesome. Commander Jupiter leads with Golbat, and I lead with Xatu. We get hit by a Confuse Ray, again, but after Confusion does over half, Jupiter randomly switches into Sableye. But lucky for us, I was setting up a wish for later anyways. I swap to Umbreon to easily counter by resisting all its moves, and then we use a super effective Play Rough for the first KO of the battle. That brings Golbat back out, and after switching back to Xatu, it confuses us again, but we break through right away, taking it down with a Confusion. Third up is Skuntank, who's normally really annoying, but after I forget how Covet worked with Umbreon, get rid of your leftovers, idiot. I bring in Wormadam to avoid any potential critical hits. After tanking a few Night Slashes, Bug Buzz brings down Jupiter's ace, and that leaves only... No, please, no. Not my little guy. I can't look. That's one of 4 down, so let's head to Wayward Cave and get randomly attacked by Mira. God, I'm just trying to help. Mira leads with Togetic, and I lead with Beedrill. Since it's now a Fairy type, an adaptability Poison Jab brings down Mira's lead in one shot, and that brings out Kadabra second. I swap to Stunky. Wait, Stunky? Yeah, we just caught it on Route 206, but this was greedy of me since we barely survived a Dazzling Gleam before thiefing off its health Life Orb, even though we get access to those like really soon. Bad P, bad. I bring in Xatu to take this Psychic type down with Ominous Wind, but Mira swaps to her Porygon 2 instead of letting me get the KO. Well, I try to use Onix to take down this normal type, bad idea. So instead, I swap to Lucario, who cleans it up with a super effective Aura Sphere. That brings out Haunter, so I swap to Umbreon to resist its only attacking move, Shadow Ball. It does use Hypnosis, which is awesome, but after a few sleep turns, a Crunch gets a one-shot KO, leaving Mira with only her half HP Kadabra. I swap to Beedrill on the incoming Dazzling Gleam, then I make the decision that we're probably faster, which is funny because at the beginning of the fight, I clearly decided that I wasn't faster. We get outsped, tank a Psybeam down to 7 HP, then finish off the final Pokemon of the battle with an X-Scissor. Not the cleanest battle from me, so let's hope my next one against Dawn is a little bit better. Dawn leads with Piloswine, and I lead with Crawdaunt. A super effective Crab Hammer takes the ground type down to its Focus Sash, but then we've got enough defense to tank the incoming takedown, which actually makes Piloswine knock itself out with recoil damage. Thanks, I guess? Clefable is out second, so I swapped to Beedrill on a resisted Moonblast. Then on the next turn, our Poison Jab actually just gets a one-shot KO. Beedrill is a monster, man. You can guarantee this thing too. Third up is Groddle, so I swapped to Drifblim on a Body Slam that he's immune to. Once again, I underestimate the power of Seed Bomb, so my flying type gets a little lower than I thought before getting a KO with a couple Air Cutters. That leaves the second rival of the game with only her low punny left, and this Zootopia reject is normal fighting in this game. So I swapped to Crobat, who I got from Wayward Cave after the Mira fight. We safely get some chip damage before switching into Wormadam. We can protect for some high jump kick crash damage, then after I get a regular miss on the next turn, we finish it off with our Confusion that did like 5%. There's only one fight left in this section, but trust me, this one is definitely the hardest. Elite 4-member Aaron leads with Dustox, and I lead with Crobat. Its only attacking move is Bug Buzz, which Crobat tanks no problem, and since it can't Toxic me, this just turns into a stall off. After what felt like a million turns that I'll spare you the joy of watching, Crobat barely makes it out with enough PP to spare. Second up is Beautifly, so I pivot through Umbreon on a Psychic to bait a Bug Buzz that Monferno can switch into. A Fake Out breaks its health Focus Sash, then an Expert Belt boosted Flame Wheel takes care of Aaron's second Pokemon. Venomoth is third, so I pivot through Umbreon again to bait another Bug move for Drifblim to switch into. It misses a Sleep Powder, thank god, then our Air Cutter brings Venomoth down to the yellow. Now all we gotta do is tank a resisted Sludge Bomb. Holy fuck. Well, Air Cutter got the KO, so yeah. What the fuck was that? Aaron's Drapion is out fourth, and with the Sniper ability, Scope Lens held item, and the high crit rate moves like Night Slash and Cross Poison, we really need something that can't get crit. In my last playthrough of this game, I used Shell Armor Torterra, which you kind of guarantee at the beginning of the game, but I don't have one this time, so Wormadam is gonna have to do. Night Slash is doing 27 damage, so I should be able to tank a few, especially with leftovers and protect. We get a pretty big crit on our first Bug Buzz, which ultimately lets Wormadam survive this battle, since without it, we probably would have needed to sack her because we only had 22 HP left. Instead, when Aaron sends out his last Pokemon Scizor, all I've got to do is swap to Monferno on a resisted X-Scissor, then secure the final KO of the battle with a 4x super effective Flame Wheel. We've somehow gone through the Fun 4 totally deathless, but that doesn't mean we didn't make any mistakes. Gotta clean this up moving forwards. With those fights down, let's talk about the encounters I brushed over. You already met our two poison types, Garbage Man and Nurse, but we also got Streamer the Porygon from the Galactic building. I did skip a couple encounters here, one which I'll leave for a surprise for later, and the other was claiming a fossil Pokemon in the Mining Museum. I'm saving this specifically for either a Swift Swimmer in the late game or an answer to a Pokemon I just can't solve later on. But for now, there's only one encounter left to cover, and that's Contestant the Execute. We won't get a Leaf Stone for a little bit, so maybe he'll be back, who knows? After grabbing some super rare berries like the Salac and the Chiboka, we finally get to Hearthome City, a terrible place, full of evil trainers whose Pokemon try to run away from them, an openly discriminatory park that only allows certain Pokemon, and a superficial contest hall where Pokemon are starved to meet unrealistic beauty standards. What has the world come to? We've got to take this evil down now, and everything stems from the top. Fantina, you and your ghost types are going down. Fantina leads with Drifblim and I lead with Umbreon. To get this KO, Umbreon needs to dodge some air slash flinches, and thankfully we do. A couple crunches take care of Fantina's first Pokemon, and second up is her ace, Miss Magius. It's part Fairy type in this RomHack, so my Dark type is at risk here. I swap into Roserade, who gets crit by a Dazzling Gleam, then tanks a Shadow Ball before hitting a Stun Spore, getting us a crucial paralysis to slow down this monster. I pivot through Umbreon to bait a Dazzling Gleam into Beedrill, but it did just stay fully paralyzed anyways. With the speed advantage, our Life Orb boosted Cross Poison gets us a one-shot KO, taking care of Fantina's most threatening Pokemon. Third up is Dusclops, and it's time for another PP stall. I know. Dusclops literally can't hit normal types, so all I've got to do is bring in Porygon 2, who's pre-paralyzed to avoid getting burned by Will-O-Wisp, and then we can just slowly chip this thing down with Discharge and Signal Beam. Since it does have Pain Split, it can never KO us, but it does make this take fucking forever. Like, holy shit. I swear I watched an entire episode of Bocchi the Rock during this stall. Also, go watch that shit if you like fun, and then come back to this video and comment, "Wow, P, you have such good taste and your voice is so handsome." Anyways, it runs out of PP, and then Porygon is free to recover back up to full, and finish it off with a few discharges. That took years off my life, so let's hustle through the rest of this battle. Fourth up is Gengar, so I swapped a Skuntank on a Sludge Bomb, then a Night Slash misses the KO on a Gengar? Really? Well, Dazzling Gleam didn't kill us, so we'll take it. Down goes Gengar, and Spiritomb is up fifth. Umbreon does really well here, resisting both its attacking moves, but after using Moonlight and getting it disabled, why the fuck would you do that? A couple play roughs combined with some burn damage caused by our synchronize ability is enough to bring down the formerly weaklessness Pokemon, leaving Fantina with only her final Pokemon, Banette. This thing also only has Ghost and Dark coverage, so we can alternate Crunch and Moonlight, staying out of crit range until it goes down. With that, we earned our 3rd badge of the run, and hopefully we freed Hearthome City from Fantina's tyranny. Tyranny? Tyranny? I don't fucking know. With the city freed from certain disaster, Barry tries to take us down and steal all the credit. Typical Nepo baby behavior. Barry leads with Staravia and I lead with Steelix. What the fuck is this thing gonna do to my Steelix? Yeah, that's right. Survive a rock slide somehow and then endeavor us down to 16 HP. Yeah. Thankfully, we did hit our Dragon Breath through a double team on the next turn, so we stay unpunished. Prinplup is up second, so I bring out Venusaur to counter it completely. Every time I make a swap like this, I keep thinking of that Northern Lion flip, you know, the one where he says Pokemon is just rock, paper, scissors. Yeah, that's all I'm doing. Anyways, Prinplup goes down, and third up is Snorlax. Crawdon and Gyarados team up for this one, using Knockoff to get rid of its held leftovers and Intimidate to keep its curse attack boosts in check. An Aquatail takes it down after a couple turns, and Barry is left with only his Heracross. This is an easy one for Crobat, since we can... I forgot to reteach this a flying move. Well, this got a whole lot sketchier. Thankfully, we don't end up risking a crit, taking down Barry's last Pokemon with a few returns. Now, get the hell out of here. We're forced to do this stupid side quest at the Pokemon Mansion, but I'm choosing to forgive Drayano since I get 2 more encounters here. The return of Lash Tech on Route 212, who's become a fan favorite in the comments, and inside the Trophy Garden, we get the Nuzlocke equivalent of flopping a Royal Flush, rolling the 10% Happini that I nickname Midwife. This Pokemon is so ridiculously broken in the late game, so broken that I'm gonna let her sit in the box for the entire run, just to ensure that she survives to the Elite Four. So I'll see you in like 20 minutes? I don't know, how long is this video? Route 209 is normally another chance at Happini, so instead I just take a shot at the Honey Tree encounters, bringing Air Traffic Controller the Swellow back for a 3rd time. This one does have guts like the first iteration, and with a fighting type gym just around the corner, we'll see the triumphant return of the GOAT. Lost Tower nests as a Duskull that's not super great without Eviolite. Then we arrive in Salacion Town, where we... you're not gonna fight me, right? Right? Oh my god. We get Unknown M, the Fry Cook in the Ruins. Get it? Then we skip Route 210 for a chance at Skarmory later on, before getting a Vigoroth named Remote Tech from a Honey Tree on Route 215. There's a famously tough pair of trainers near the end of this route in the vanilla games, and I'm sure they'll be fine if I lock in during this RomHack. My Umbreon died. To a Destiny Bond Drifblim. Veilstone City, home of unlimited focus sashes, life orbs, and expert belts, and I guess the 4th gym? This is balanced, right? Crusher Wake makes an advance at a young girl. Classic Wake, am I right? And now it's time for a sparring session against the fighting type Master of Sinnoh, Maylene. Maylene leads with Medicham and I lead with Crawdaunt. The entire goal here is to make it knock itself out with high jump kick because I'm evil. So after a quick pivot between Drifblim, Crash Damage does its job, getting us a KO without even pressing a move. Second up is Infernape, so we stay in, tank a Rock Slide totally safely thanks to our health focus sash before getting off a Thunder Wave, paralyzing the Sinnoh starter. With our new speed advantage, I swap to Gyarados, then get a one-shot KO with the super effective Aqua Tail. Third up is Machamp, so I swap to Cherub, whose entire job here is to use Worry Seed, getting rid of Machamp's Guts ability before getting KO'd by a close combat. Thanks for the sacrifice. From here, it's time to let Swellow steal the show. Sharp Beak and Guts boosted Aerial Ace gets us a one-shot KO here, and let's see how far we can push this. Toxicroak is out 4th, but it can't stand up to us with 65 defense, so that's another KO with Aerial Ace. Gallade is up 5th, but that's another victim of Guts Swellow, so see you later. That leaves Maylene with only her Lucario left, and unfortunately, this is where the show ends. I U-turn out to Gyarados, and with it using Resisted Flash Cannon, we can just kinda stay in here, get some recovery with leftovers, then fire off a few neutral Aqua Tails to take down the final Pokemon of the battle. That's 4 badges down, and we're officially halfway to the Pokemon League. Right guys? Right? Oh fuck, the Coatman is back. Oh, you want me to follow you into a secluded warehouse? I'm gonna pass. With the Fly HM usable outside of battle now, I just remembered that I totally forgot a really solid encounter all the way back before the Fun 4. In the old chateau, we grab our guaranteed Rotom named Merchandiser, who's gonna be a great flexible team member for us. As we make our way to Pastoria, we get 3 new encounters across 4 routes. More on that in a second. Numel joins the team on Route 214, who I totally forgot that I already gave the nickname Tour Guide in Sacred Gold, but I named her Sherpa this time around, which is like kinda the same thing, so I'm gonna give myself a pass. On-set Mixer the Whismer and Contractor the Barrel also join the team from the Maniac Tunnel and Valor Lakefront, both of which you won't ever see again, so don't get used to them. We will see Route 213 again though, but I'm going to delay this for a surfing encounter, so we'll be back. Speaking of, welcome to Pastoria City, where the guaranteed Lapras has been removed, making me feel a lot better about duping it out in Sacred Gold. We get to access the move relearner here, thank God. Then we pick up Chemist the Skorupi from the Great Marsh, who has the Battle Armor ability, preventing critical hits and turning this soon-to-be Dark type into the best Alakazam counter in the game. We call out Wake and he dips from the school before the police pull up. Then we have a battle with Barry to stop him from delaying the vote to release the files about Wake's private island. We'll skip this one just for time's sake, but you'll see Barry again pretty soon. With no stupid rich kids with phone cameras standing in our way, let's head inside the building with no roof and take on Crasher Wake and his water types in permanent rain. Crasher Wake leads with Quagsire and I lead with Venusaur. Since we've got a part poison type, that makes ground moves do neutral damage here, and this gives me a free swap into Togekiss on an Earthquake, and since we're faster, Encore locks Quagsire into spamming a move that can't even hit us. A couple Grass Knots bring down Wake's first Pokemon, and that brings out Gyarados second. Intimidate drops our attack, then I swap into my own Gyarados on a resisted Aqua Tail. I've got a support set on Gyarados this time, with Taunt and Thunder Wave while also holding leftovers. The goal here is to prevent it from setting up its attack with Dragon Dance, while also slowing it down with Paralysis, then getting a bit of chip before swapping into Poliwrath. He resists all of Gyarados' moves, so after the AI just tries to get the speed advantage with Dragon Dance, we slowly chip it down with a few resisted Bubble Beams after Wake heals with a Hyper Potion. A few turns later, Poliwrath is still full HP and Gyarados goes down, bringing out Life Orb, Swift Swim, Ludicolo third. This thing is kind of a monster, but Thick Fat Venusaur does really well here, tanking an Energy Ball super well coming in, then getting a one-shot KO with a Sludge Bomb after tanking a resisted Hydro Pump. Wake's fourth Pokemon is Speed Boost Focus Sash Sharpedo. God, this never ends. So after protecting for a turn, I swap out into Battle Armor Wormadam, who tanks a Zen Headbutt, activating our held Jaboca Berry, breaking its sash and giving us an easy one-shot KO. All we've got to do is survive a neutral rain-boosted waterfall, which we do, right? Right? Thank God. A Bug Buzz takes care of the part Dark type, and fifth up for the Pastoria City Gym Leader is his ace, Floatzel. Since it should see KO with priority Aqua Jet, I take my free swap into Water Absorb Poliwrath. It has the same coverage as Gyarados with Water, Ice, and Dark moves, and since we resist all of them, this is a pretty easy 1v1. With leftovers Protect and Drain Punch, we stay perfectly healthy while tanking resisted attacks, eventually taking care of Wake's usually pretty tough ace Pokemon. That leaves only his own Poliwrath left to take care of, so after staying in for a couple turns and getting some chip damage, I bring in Slowbro, a perfect check to the water fighting type. After Psychic brings Poliwrath down to like 1 HP, a Hypnosis puts us to sleep, which is just so fun. And after sleeping for more turns than I'd like to, Slowbro wakes up and finishes off the battle with a second Psychic. That's Wake taken care of, and the fifth badge is ours. Let's keep it going. We interrupt this Nuzlocke for breaking news. A terror attack on the Great Marsh Nature Reserve has been thwarted by a young Pokemon trainer named... What was the name? It's again? Pete. My name is Pete. Has been thwarted by a young Pokemon trainer named Barry. Wait, Barry? What the fuck? That was me. I'm right here. Look. Well, after getting our credit stolen right out from under us, Cynthia at least kinda recognizes us, giving us a secret potion to help us clear the Psyduck blockade on Route 210. Wait, did I just use a controlled substance to end a protest? God damn it, I'm doing their bidding again. After traversing the now fogless route, we have another battle against Dawn, and her team has definitely leveled up. Dawn leads with Alakazam and I lead with Drapion. Since we've got a strong Dark type with Battle Armor, Alakazam can't threaten to destroy us with Life Orb boosted Stab Psychic. So instead, we tank a Dazzling Gleam for less than half, then bring down Dawn's lead with a super effective Crunch. Second is Mamoswine, so I pivot through Togekiss on an Earthquake to bait an Avalanche for Infernape to switch into. From here, Fake Out plus Close Combat take care of the Ice type, and Vaporeon comes out third. I bring in my Milotic on an Extrasensory, and after like a million turns of chipping it down with Moonblast and it healing with like Aqua Ring or getting Hyper Potioned, Vaporeon eventually loses to the Water type tank, and that baits out Torterra fourth. I pivot through Drapion on a resisted Woodhammer to bait an Earthquake for Togekiss to switch into. From here, we can outspeed and use Encore like we did against Wake's Quagsire, letting our Flying type get a totally safe KO with a couple Moonblasts, as Dawn's starter is forced to spam the useless Earthquake. Clefable is fifth, so after hitting a Moonblast that does a lot more than I was expecting, I bring in Empoleon to counter it. A Hyper Potion makes this take a little longer than normal, but a few Flash Cannons bring down Dawn's Fairy type, and now she's left with only her Lopunny. It's holding a Choice Band, so Empoleon's Steel type is baiting the Fighting type Jump Kick, giving Slowbro a totally free switch in. From here, leftovers keep us healthy as we hit a couple psychics, taking care of the final Pokemon of this battle. That's Dawn dealt with, and it's time to get some much needed drip. Give me those goddamn shades. They complete the fit. Speaking of fitting, my fist fits perfectly into Cyrus's face. Get the f out of here. We get given Surf as a reward, and now we've got to put it to use. We interrupt this program for breaking news. The Sinnoh National Pal Park has come under attack. Sources say there's a strange British man holding everyone in the building hostage, claiming to be teaching a tea-making seminar. The international police are asking if anyone with information or access to the Surf HM to lend a hand in saving the historic Pokemon Sanctuary. Let's go lend a hand. After fishing up a Relicanth named Lamplighter who doesn't have Swift Swim in Celestic Town, then surfing for a Tentacool in Pastoria, we go over to Sand Gym Town and head south on Route 219. Our encounters are going to be a little weird on these next couple routes, so you'll have to see why in a second. Since we grabbed Tentacool in Pastoria City, we guarantee a Wingull here, which is what we're going for. But I really want it to have Drizzle when it evolves into a Pelipper. To check that, I'm going to lead with Skuntank, who's running the move Smokescreen. Since this Wingull has the Keen Eye ability, preventing any accuracy drops, that means it doesn't have Hydration, which turns into Drizzle when he evolves. In that case, we're going to run away, losing an encounter on this route, but still giving us a shot at Drizzle Pelipper later on. For example, on Route 220, right next door. We roll another Wingull, but just like last time, it's Keen Eye, so that's a second skipped encounter, but it'll be worth it, I promise. On Route 221, I decide to roll the Honey Tree instead, and we get a Farfetch'd named Pro Wrestler. With the added fighting typing in this game, it's basically like budget Halucha, so not too bad. After Barry gives us the rundown of the situation, we find the man keeping everyone hostage here, Castle Valet Daruk. Or Dara. I can't do any accents, sorry. Let's just save the Pal Park. Castle Valet Daruk leads with Gallade and I lead with Swellow, who starts the battle with a pre-burn, activating his Guts ability. Combine that attack boost with the held Sharpbeak, and that's an easy one-shot KO on Daruk's lead Pokemon, bringing out Empoleon second. I swap to Poliwrath, who continues the trend of him completely walling other water types. With water, ice, and steel coverage, Poliwrath is totally safe to win this 1v1 with his classic Leftovers, Protect, and Drain Punch combo. That brings out Alakazam third, and just like against Dawn, we've got the best counter around for this thing. I bring in Drapion for free on a Psychic he's immune to, then we survive a neutral Focus Blast in the yellow before getting a clean one-shot KO with Crunch. Fourth up is Metagross, so after protecting for some Leftovers recovery, I bring in Gyarados on an Earthquake that she's immune to. It's faster than us, which I wasn't expecting, so Gyarados needs to tank 2 Zen Headbutts instead of just 1. But with our held Leftovers, we weren't in crit range of the second one. A couple Earthquakes is enough to bring down Daruk's Steel type, and he sends out his legendary Pokemon next, Entei. I swap to Empoleon on a resisted Stone Edge, and theoretically, we should take at maximum neutral damage from this monster. Apparently, Sacred Fire still would have KO'd our second starter with a crit, and our Surf didn't even get a KO, so it's time for a change of plans. I bring in Poliwrath to tank the next Sacred Fire, then it just used an extreme speed, leaving us at above half HP before Poliwrath continues his Jeremy Lin-esque run, securing us the KO on the scariest Pokemon of this fight. That leaves only Staraptor to deal with, and I need a clean switch into Rotom to guarantee that. That means that I can just pivot through Empoleon on a resisted Brave Bird and then bait a fighting type move for my Ghost type to switch into. Admit it, you thought I was sacking something, didn't you? With a held Focus Sash, Rotom can literally never die here, so after taking a Brave Bird, a Thunderbolt takes down the final Pokemon of the battle, and that's one of the toughest fights of the mid-game, taken down with no deaths. See, that wasn't so hard. Let's see what the rest of Renegade Platinum has in store for us. With the British invasion dealt with, and yes, I need to celebrate that because my country didn't pull it off, now it's time for some more Wingull gambling. I delayed Route 213 just outside Pastoria earlier in case we got bad luck, and I'm really happy that we did. We encounter our Wingull here, use Smokescreen, and get an accuracy drop. That means this Wingull has hydration, so we add Cashier, the soon-to-be Drizzle Pelipper, to the team. We grab one more encounter before continuing our journey. Welcome back, Math Teacher the Magneton. Then we surf over to Canalave City, home of gym number 6, and apparently some rude-ass Nepo baby that needs to be taught another lesson. Barry leads with Staraptor, and I lead with regular form Rotom. We're immune to or resist all its moves, but with the choice specs, Thunderbolt is a one-shot KO anyways, bringing out Arcanine second. Poliwrath does really well here, even tanking a critical hit Flare Blitz for 1 HP over half. With Protect, Leftovers, and Drain Punch, Arcanine just doesn't have the damage output to keep up with our healing. After a few turns, Barry's second Pokemon goes down, and he sends out Breloom third. This thing is really annoying with its held Focus Sash, so to play around it, I pivot around between Lucario, who survives a random Force Palm crit with his Focus Sash, and Venusaur, and eventually that'll get Breloom to hit Poliwrath with a Spore. That gives me a free swap into Crobat, who's holding a Jaboka Berry, a rare berry that does damage to your opponent if you get hit by a physical attack. That breaks its Focus Sash, and the 4x super effective Fly makes quick work of the grass fighting type. Fourth up is Empoleon, and I don't have a great answer for this thing right now, so the best I could come up with was to get a Leech Seed off with Venusaur, then stall turns till it's low enough for Giga Drain to KO it. And surprisingly, that actually worked with no issues. Venusaur safely gets that KO, and that brings out Heracross 5th. It should never be going for resisted Stone Edge here, so I bring in Crobat to tank the resisted Mega Horn, then get a quick one-shot with another 4x super effective Fly. That leaves only Snorlax to deal with, and my plan here was to swap to my own Empoleon, then spam Rock Smash to offset any stat buffs from Curse, but after it used a couple slack-offs and almost KO'd us with a Crunch, I make the tough choice to sacrifice Venusaur to a +4 Body Slam, then bring in 1 HP Lucario to finish it off with a super effective Aura Sphere. This bleach blonde fuck took one of our Pokemon from us, and trust me, I'm not gonna forget it. We get sent to Iron Island for some training before the gym, and we run into Riley, famously from Sacred Gold and not from here, obviously. We take him on in a battle here too, and he leads with Absol and I lead with Infernape. A close combat easily nets our starter a one-shot KO, and second up is Salamence. After protecting to block a one-turn Fly and waste its Power Herb, I swap to Togekiss on a Dragon Rush that he's immune to. Then we get a pretty easy KO with Moonblast after it tries to set up a Dragon Dance. Third up is Metagross, so I swap to Battle Armor Drapion to bait an Earthquake, giving me a free swap into Rotom Heat. From here, a single Life Orb boosted Overheat is all it takes, bringing down Riley's third Pokemon. Fourth up is Lucario, but since it has High Jump Kick as its main stab move, we can just protect to make it take crash damage, then do a quick pivot through Togekiss before protecting one more time, letting Lucario take itself out. That brings out Ursaring 5th, so I bring in Lucario to resist the incoming strength, then outspeed on the next turn with a super effective Aura Sphere for another easy one-shot KO. Riley is down to his last Pokemon now, Slaking, but since it still has no way around its Truant ability, we can just swap to Beedrill on a 4x resisted Hammer Arm, then alternate Protect as we take it down with some Cross Poisons. That's Riley taken down, and he's decided to let us accompany him through the rest of Iron Island. Team Galactic was pretty uneventful here, but we do get a Lairon named Physicist for our troubles. Oh, and if you get that reference, let me know in the comments. After we take a Gravol for our seasickness, because Jesus Christ, who's driving this thing? We fish up a Finneon named Scalper, who's actually going to be relevant, shocking, I know, and now all that's left to do is take on one of the OG gym leaders, unlike his Nepoed son. Let's see what the Steel-type Master Byron has in store for us. Byron leads with Bronzong and I lead with Infernape. This thing really wants to set up screens and stealth rocks, but since Infernape is faster and learns the move Taunt, we can just prevent it from using status moves entirely. That means all our starter has to do is hit a couple fire punches, and Byron's lead goes down. Second up is Steelix, so I bring in Drizzle Pelipper, making his debut, by dodging the incoming Earthquake. With Brain set up, our super effective Stab Rain Boosted Surf gets a one-shot KO, and Byron sends out Magnezone third. We've got the perfect Magnezone counter in Wishcash. Yeah, remember him from like the first 2 minutes of the video? He finally gets to do something useful here, outspeeding and hitting an Earthquake to bring down the electric steel type in one shot. Fourth up is Fortress, so I bring in our newest encounter, Lumineon. He learns the move Defog, which will help us get rid of all the hazards that this thing wants to set up. So after it gets up 2 layers of spikes and toxic spikes, we use Defog, getting rid of them to help the rest of the team, as Fortress uses Explosion, sacrificing itself to take out Lumineon. I bring in Pelipper now, and Byron sends out Aggron, seeing its super effective rock moves against us. Our Surf should never get a KO here because of its held Focus Sash, so we've got to risk a crit. If this Head Smash hits through its 80% accuracy and gets a crit, we'll lose our Rain Setter that we delayed all those encounters for. Nah, I'm just kidding. He had a Focus Sash. It actually did crit though, which is kind of crazy. Byron heals with a Hyper Potion, but with the Focus Sash used up, Surf brings down his 5th Pokemon of the battle, and he's down to only his ace Bastiodon in the back. I swap it to Lucario and... Wait, what the fuck? Didn't Defog get rid of those? Bulbapedia says it does. What the fuck? Well, we don't get punished since Ironhead is resisted anyways, but like, I'm still mad about it. A 4x super effective Aura Sphere takes care of the final Pokemon of the battle, and somehow we lost more Pokemon against Byron than against Perma-Rain Crasher Wake. This might be the most embarrassing moment of my Nuzlocke career. So, here's what I'm thinking. It's like a dartboard, but instead of throwing darts, you throw... I should check that out. We've been tasked to check out Lake Valor, and Lake Verity, but Rowan's letting Dawn try like take your kids at work day. So let's go take care of our assigned commander first, Saturn. Saturn leads with Alakazam and I lead with Drapion. Just like earlier, Alakazam is hard countered by Battle Armor Drapion, so super effective crunch brings it down in one shot, bringing out Rhydon second. I swapped to Togekiss, who gets to use his famous outspeed Encore into Earthquake strat, locking Rhydon into a move that doesn't even hit us. A critical hit Moonblast takes care of Saturn's second Pokemon, and that brings out Bronzong third. I swapped to Empoleon, who does a great job resisting its moveset, including Explosion, which could be really threatening. After a few turns, we successfully chip it down, and Saturn brings out Toxicroak fourth. I swapped to Crobat on a resisted Cross Chop, then outspeed and hit a super effective Fly for a clean one-shot, leaving Saturn with only one Pokemon left, Octillery. It has insane coverage with Seed Bomb, Flamethrower, Flash Cannon, and Hydro Pump, but Gyarados takes only neutral or resisted damage from all of them. With Leftovers and Protect, we stay fairly healthy and bring down Octillery with a few Earthquakes. That's the first of 2 commanders down for now, so let's head straight over to our local lake, Lake Verity, for another battle against Commander Marsh. Marsh leads with Crobat and I lead with Magneton. Our electric steel type resists all of its moves, and even though he could be evolved right now, but don't worry about it, a couple Thunderbolts take it down, and second up is Kangaskhan. I swapped to Gyarados for an Intimidate on a super weak Hammer Arm, and my plan here is to win the 1v1, and we did, but near the end it did get a little sketchy. Third up is Bronzong, but like it's basically the same set as Saturn's from a second ago, so that means Empoleon can do the exact same thing, slowly chipping it down without worrying about Explosion. Yanmega is up fourth, so I bring in Battle Armor Wormadam to try and wall it. With its steel typing, Air Slash is neutral, so I'm pretty sure we should be able to survive like a few... Oh, I see. Magneton does come in and clean this up, but it really sucks to lose one of my most used early game Pokemon. Mars still has her ace left, Perugly, but without any fighting type coverage, bulky rock or steel types like Steelix can fully wall it, so I'll just save you the time. Perugly goes down after a few turns, and that's Commander Mars taken care of. Okay, once Barry deals with Jupiter, we'll all be... Oh god, what now? Good evening. A body has been found outside Lake Acuity earlier today.
Wait, that's where...
The victim is described as having blonde hair, a striped shirt, and someone else's credit card in their wallet.
God.
If anyone has any information, please contact the station. So that's all 3 commanders thrown on our plate, but at least I get to trek through my home country for the next one. Ah, good to be home. Welcome to Snowpoint City, home of the 7th gym and the only active temple in Sinnoh that actually accepts human sacrifices. To attend one though, we have to fight a really tough double battle in front of it. So let's get through this and buy our tickets. The Ace trainers lead with Blissey and Heracross, and I lead with Swellow and Infernape. Fake Out stops Blissey from setting up a screen or using a spread move, then a Guts boosted 4x super effective Aerial Ace gets a one-shot KO on Heracross before it gets to attack, bringing out Typhlosion next. The plan for this fight is to take care of the right side of the battle first, so we double up into the Johto starter, using a Guts boosted Facade to knock it down to the red, then an Earthquake from Infernape to finish it off, plus getting some free chip damage on Blissey as it just sets up a light screen. Tyranitar comes out last on the right side of the battle, and since we've got a fighting type for the Dark Rock type, I just used Swellow to get our first KO of the battle on the left side, using Facade to take care of Blissey. After that, Infernape finishes off the right side with a 4x super effective close combat. Now that this battle is a 2v1, this should be a walk in the park. Meganium comes out first, so I take this chance to get set up for a KO on the next Pokemon, swapping Infernape for Rotom Heat and doing about 3/4 to Meganium with Facade, as it just used an Earth power that both of my Pokemon are immune to. From here, Meganium goes down to a U-turn and I bring out Poliwrath to replace Swellow, as the Ace trainers are only left with Feraligatr on their side of the field. I'm not going to waste your time here guys, I swapped Rotom out for Gyarados to make use of its supportive moveset, using Taunt to avoid any setup, and together my 2 water types work together to finish off this battle. We've officially got access to the Snowpoint Temple, and we're through a famously run-killing battle. As we head through the temple, we grab a Sneasel named Detective, then run into Maylene and Gym Leader Candace investigating a huge statue. I'm just saying, a quick coat of paint, we have ourselves the perfect attraction. We tell Candace to stop worrying about paint and start worrying about pain, so we head back into the gym and take on our 7th gym battle of the run against her ice types. Candace leads with Abomasnow and I lead with Rapidash. Her job here is to get rid of the hail, and she does just that, using Sunny Day to overwrite it before getting knocked down to her Focus Sash. Hey, she survived all on her own. Good job. The AI in Gen 4 will always use a priority move if it sees a KO with it, so this gives me a free swap into Infernape on a super weak Ice Shard. From here, my Fire type obviously destroys the Ice Grass type with a Life Orb and Sun boosted Fire Punch, bringing out Walrein second. Similarly to our other battle against Crasher Wake, Poliwrath does a great job walling other water types. Even with its held Choppleberry to reduce fighting type damage, it can't really threaten us at all. Like, I even let Poliwrath just fall asleep from yawn instead of KOing it, just so we could make sure we weren't asleep later. After a few drain punches, Walrein goes down, and Candace brings out Frostlass third. With the Snow Cloak ability boosting its evasion in the hail, normally this thing is a demon, but without it, it becomes a lot easier to deal with. I swap into Camerupt on a Thunderbolt that she's immune to, then after tanking a neutral Blizzard... Really? You couldn't tank that? What a bum. Well, Infernape comes in for the revenge KO, but that wasn't a Pokemon I was planning on losing here. Fourth up is Mamoswine, so I swap into Rotom Heat to dodge the incoming Earthquake with Levitate, then I bring in Lucario on a resisted Stone Edge. From here, we outspeed and... am I washed? You're telling me Lucario isn't outspeeding Mamoswine with a level advantage and 10 higher base speed? Well, I have another fighting type, so Poliwrath can come in and win this 1v1 with the Drain Punch Leftovers Protect combo, but not without an Earthquake getting pretty close to KOing us. Weavile is up 5th, and it's time for the actual planned sack of this battle. We're gonna say goodbye to Umamasume the Rapidash here. Infernape covers the whole fast fire type thing, and to get him in safe, this is the best call. I don't feel great about this sack after losing 2 other Pokemon randomly, but here we are, down to 3 Pokemon left alive on the team. Infernape uses Fake Out for free damage, then takes care of Weavile with a Mach Punch, leaving Candace with only 1 Pokemon left, Glaceon. I swapped to Rotom on an Earth Power that he's immune to, then even after it tries to cheese us with Double Team, an Overheat connects for a one-shot KO. That's Candace taken care of, but we've been losing Pokemon left and right recently. I gotta lock in because this game's difficulty is about to go through the roof. Okay, time for cleanup duty. I feel like Dexter, honestly. Wait, you're alive? I thought I had a big inheritance coming in. Well, we have to at least pretend to get Retribution to stay on the rich kid's good side, so after picking up Librarian the Celio, we sneak into the basement, grab the Galactic Key, and arrive just in time for the keynote. With this brand new AI model, not only will it steal all of your data and intellectual property, but we're not going to pay you and it's going to turn everything this ugly yellow color. Oh my god, the innovation! We fight against Cyrus here, but since we have another battle against his full team really soon, I'm gonna skip over this one for now. All you need to know is that he ran away to Spear Pillar, setting up a final showdown with the fate of the stock market on the line. And between you and me, if this AI bozo is the only thing holding up the stock market, I'd rather it crash and burn. After we trek up Mount Coronet, a pair of Cyrus's cronies stand in our way, a couple of commanders that we've taken out before, Mars and Jupiter. But this time, Barry and I gotta team up for a 12v12 showdown. Commander Mars and Jupiter both lead with Crobat, Barry leads with Staraptor, and I lead with Aggron. Mars and Jupiter are going to be labeled up here, by the way. My plan for this battle is to always have the least threatened Pokemon on the field. I want the AI to almost always see more damage on Barry's Pokemon, so I've got some really bulky guys on our team. A Torment onto Staraptor and a double team from Jupiter's Crobat give Barry and I free reign to get some damage. Him firing off a Brave Bird into Jupiter's Crobat, knocking it down to the red, as Aggron uses Rock Slide, which unfortunately only hits on Mars's Crobat, not getting us the KO. After another turn of the AI targeting Staraptor, this time with a Brave Bird and a Hypnosis, Rock Slide misses Jupiter's Crobat again, but at least we got the first KO of the battle onto Mars's. That brings out Electivire now, threatening Aggron with fighting type moves. Surprisingly, Jupiter actually swaps Crobat out to Gastrodon before we protect, hoping to bait some moves into us, but instead, Staraptor wakes up, hits a double edge for 50% onto the new Gastro, and then dies to recoil. What a hero. Barry brings out Breloom now, so I swap to Togekiss on a resisted fighting move, but it just misses before Breloom takes care of Jupiter's first Pokemon of the fight. That brings Crobat back out, and seemingly it has a Death Wish, because he used Brave Bird into Breloom, who survives thanks to a Focus Sash. I can't say the same for Crobat though. Bye. Electivire just attacked into our Protect, then got hit by a Rock Tomb from Breloom before Bronzong comes out for Jupiter. I'm expecting an electric move into Togekiss, so I swap into Wishcash, who's immune. Then Breloom does a bit of damage to Bronzong with a Force Palm before getting taken out by Electivire. Barry sends out his fourth Pokemon, Arcanine, and instead of killing it with my Earthquake, we Protect to let Arcanine take care of Jupiter's Bronzong, all about taking a Cross Chop in the process. Sableye is out next for Barry's arch nemesis, so it's time for an Earthquake to do damage to everything on the field. And I mean everything. Sorry. At least we got solid damage on both of our opponents. Barry's Heracross comes out now, and we combine to take out Sableye and Electivire on this turn, bringing out Skuntank and Yanmega. They both miss their attacks, which is awesome, so we team up again, wasting Skuntank's Citrus Berry and bringing it down to the yellow. On the next turn, we trade Heracross for Skuntank, getting rid of Jupiter's Ace and bringing in berries. After baiting some attacks into Wishcash by using Protect, Empoleon brings Jupiter's last Pokemon to the red with an Ice Beam, Then I switch to Togekiss before this battle becomes a 2v1. At this point, you're thinking, P, this is free now, right? I mean, it's Empoleon and you versus like half of Marsh's team. Yeah, this one is clearly pretty easy from here. So I swap to Gyarados since Togekiss is like half HP, and then we... Very cool. No, I didn't want my Gyarados anyways. Whatever. The rest of the battle is pretty uneventful, but that would have been so clean if Gyarados didn't die. God damn it. Dialga and Palkia freaked the f out after getting summoned to our world, especially after being forced to go to some random island. So after reporting the ages of the people on that island, Cyrus flees to the Distortion World. Me and Cynthia train in the ways of Distortion, learning how to walk horizontally, but more importantly, we learn how to kick Cyrus's ass. Cyrus starts this back-to-back with a double battle, sending out Dialga and Palkia, and I lead with Slaking and Infernape, and clearly we're up to some monkey business. What the f am I talking about? Since we've got the two fastest Pokemon on the field, we can combo super effective close combat and Brick Break to insta-kill Dialga, making this a 2v1 right away. We aren't out of the woods quite yet though, since the AI in this fight is random, but we've come prepared. Since Infernape survives a super effective Hydro Pump thanks to his Health Focus Sash. After a Protect blocks a Spatial Rend and a Loafing Turn from Slaking, I swap Infernape for Milotic, then use Encore, locking the box legendary into using a Dragon-type move. From here, a few Moonblasts take care of the final Pokemon of this double, and we've got a full team of 6 going into the second half of this back-to-back. Let's see what Cyrus has in store for us. Cyrus leads with Crobat and I lead with Infernape. Obviously, I don't want to be here, so I swap into Magnezone to resist the incoming Brave Bird. Since it's holding a Choice Band, it can't switch moves now, so this is a freebie for my Electric Steel type. Second up is Houndoom, so after a Protect for Leftovers recovery, I swap to Slaking on a Flamethrower that does a lot more than I was expecting. Since we're faster though, I'm not super worried about it, so we... Dude, I gotta work on my speed calcs, man. Well, I bring in Infernape to outspeed and take care of the Dark type with a close combat, but now the Pokemon order isn't what I was expecting in my head, because Gyarados is out third. I swap to Poliwrath for his classic water type stalling, and after I hit one Rock Climb, another one... Sure, why not? Well, I have Whiscash, so we switch in on a Thunderbolt that he's immune to, then outspeed on the next turn and get a KO with an Earthquake. That brings out Honchkrow next, but since it has superpower in its moveset, this is a little awkward for Magnezone to handle on his own. I make the choice to sacrifice Whiscash here after getting some damage with Aqua Tail, preventing me from risking anything on Milotic, who comes in to finish the job. How the fuck is it faster than me? I'm 10 base speed high? I'm not having a good time right now. Well, that brings Gyarados back out, and that's free for Poliwrath to take care of, so after a few turns, Cyrus is left with only one Pokemon, his ace, Weavile. Since I had to use my Focus Sash in the double battle earlier, I've got to switch him in safely, and to do that, I pivot through Magnezone on the incoming Aerial Ace. Okay, this literally can't be going any worse. Well, it's decision time now. Do I think that Infernape could tank a +2 feint attack and the potential crit, or do I sack something to guarantee the win? I feel like we should survive it, but if the AI randomly sees another move as similar damage, I could lose my best Pokemon, and because of that, we're gonna have to say goodbye to Milotic. We've got a ton of water types, plus a lot of late game fishing encounters coming up, so she's probably the most expendable on the team. Sorry about that. Infernape comes in and hits a Fake Out to break the Sash, then we take care of the final Pokemon of the battle with a priority Mach Punch, but man, that was a bloody one. We might have saved the world, but if we're losing Pokemon at this rate, this run's not going to make it very far. I gotta lock in if I don't want to get sent back to Brock. With the world saved for now, let's grab a few newly available encounters, starting in the Send-Off Spring. Here, we grab a Solrock named... No, that's fine. We actually get to catch Courier the Surskit in Lake Valor, giving us another Intimidate mod, and then after checking in with Rowan to let us through security, we head to Route 222, bringing Private Eye the Floatzel back onto the team, but we probably won't see him for the rest of the run. Once we arrive in Sunyshore City, Flint tells us about Volkner's serious addiction to room temperature water. What a freak! But after we show him the joy of icy cold delicious water, he gets off his high horse and now we can challenge him. Before we do that though, we're gonna go get the first of our late game water encounters. Just off the coast of the city, we encounter a Mantine, and by leading with Masquerain, I can check if it has Water Absorb or Swift Swim. We really want the latter for a potential Elite Four team that I've been cooking up, and we hit the 50-50 on the first try. It is Adamant Nature, which sucks, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. We need access to Waterfall outside of battle for the next set of encounters, so let's head inside Volkner's gym and take on him and his electric types, not only for that, but also for the final gym badge of Sinnoh. Volkner leads with Jolteon and I lead with Blissey. I've been kinda shielding her the entire run, but this feels like a safe opportunity to bring back the classic
Blissey Gaming.
If you remember that, let me know in the comments. I'm not going to use this audio this time, but basically, just assume that every time I bring in Blissey, we're going to be stalling out whatever Pokemon my opponent is using, with a combination of Soft-Boiled, Protect, and Leftovers for healing, either a status move or Refresh depending on the situation, and Seismic Toss for some consistent damage. We take care of Jolteon no problem, and Volkner sends out his ace next, Electivire. After protecting for some Leftovers recovery, I swap to Crobat on the incoming Close Combat, giving us a free swap to Mamoswine on a Wild Charge. With a held Choice Scarf and the Close Combat defense drops that Electivire has, we should be faster here, so a single Earthquake pretty easily gets us our second KO of the battle. Third up is Rotom Wash, so I swap to Sceptile to quad resist the incoming Hydro Pump. Did anyone else miss Sceptile? I know, it's been a minute. A Choice Specs Giga Drain actually just gets a one-shot KO here, which I didn't think it would, but hey, I'll take it. Luxray is out fourth with a held Choice Band, so I swap back to Mamoswine to tank the incoming Ice Fang in. Did it really see a KO with that? That's crazy. Well, thankfully we didn't get crit, so Choice Scarf Mamoswine pretty easily takes care of another threat, getting a one-shot KO with Earthquake. That baits out another Rotom form next, this time Heat form. I swapped to Blissey, and just like I said earlier, this one is a pretty easy stall, especially because it just drops its own special attack with Overheat. After a whole bunch of turns, we complete our second stall of the battle, and Volkner is left with only his Raichu to try to beat my entire team. I swap to Crobat on the incoming Focus Blast, then take a free swap into Golem on a Thunderbolt. With our held Focus Sash, even a 4x super effective Surf can't bring us down. So Golem is free to fire off an Earthquake, bringing down the final Pokemon of this battle. With that, we've officially earned every single gym badge of Sinnoh, and there's only one place left to go, the Pokemon League. Before taking the final leg of our journey, we get 3 more encounters. I skipped over Route 210 earlier to delay for a potential Skarmory, but since we didn't pull anything with Magnet Pull, I just took the guaranteed Dratini named Social Worker instead of risking a useless Pharaoh. Speaking of useless, check out this Remoraid named Cosmetician on Route 223. You get a good look? That's all you're gonna get. After climbing this waterfall, the encounter table actually changes to the Pokemon League. So we grab a Love Disc named Counselor here, another Swift Swimmer for our potential Elite Four team. She's also adamant nature and has a special attack EV of 4, so that's awesome. After traversing through most of Victory Road, we meet Mira, who challenges us to a quick battle. This battle is honestly a box check kinda, with me just hard countering every single one of her Pokemon. Starmie gets outsped and KO'd by an Energy Ball from Sceptile, Weavile gets dealt with the same way we've dealt with all of them, a fake out Mach Punch combo from Infernape. Crobat can barely even hit Magnezone, so that's a freebie. Arcanine loses a 1v1 to Poliwrath with his signature moveset. Electrode has an offensively terrible moveset for an Electric type and a RomHack, so Steelix makes quick work of that, and then her own Sceptile gets completely walled by Togekiss. That's a pretty easy one, and as a reward, we get to do a bunch of super fun double battles with an AI partner. Yay! Once we make our way through the cave, we end up on Route 224, a place normally not accessible until the postgame. Here, we grab a Gastrodon named Principal, probably useless, but who knows. Then we meet up with Dawn, who's waiting to challenge us one final time before the Pokemon League. Let's see what she's got. Dawn leads with Alakazam, and I lead with Drapion. Just like in Celestic Town, our tried and true hard counter does his job perfectly, taking a Dazzling Gleam before getting a KO with a super effective Crunch. Second up is Mamoswine, so we protect to confirm what move it's going to lock itself into with Choice Band, and it's Earthquake. That makes things totally easy, so I swap into my Flying type Togekiss, who's totally immune. Then a couple Moonblasts make easy work of Dawn's second Pokemon. Third up is Vaporeon, so I bring in Masquerain, making her video debut and tanking an Ice Beam really well thanks to her new Bug Water typing. I'll spare you guys the pain here, we just stall it out with Leftovers Protect and a few Bug Buzzes, but Rest makes this take a lot longer than you want to sit through. All you need to know is that the evolution is gone and Dawn's Ace Torterra came out in its place. It should be going for Stone Edge here, so I pivot through Aggron and then back into Togekiss on an Earthquake. A perfect move to set up our fast Encore Strat-on. With it locked into a move that can't hit us, a few Moonblast is all it takes, and we've got a perfectly healthy Fairy type as Dawn sends out her Lopunny 5th. I think we'd probably survive a neutral Mega Kick here, but its held Focus Sash means we'd have to tank too. So instead, I play it safe by swapping to Aggron. This should bait high Jump Kick, so we can safely protect and make Lopunny take crash damage, dropping its HP to the yellow. After a quick pivot back to Togekiss for the 4x resist, we repeat the process a couple times, bringing in Aggron and protecting for that sweet, sweet crash damage. In the end, Lopunny is taken care of, and Dawn is down to her final Pokemon, Clefable. With only Moonblast and Flamethrower as damaging moves, Tentacruel is actually a great hard counter here. A couple Sludge Bombs is all it takes, and with Clefable down, we've only got one rival left to take care of. We head through the rest of Victory Road, climb the waterfall, and here we are, the Pokemon League. Before we talk about our Elite 4 squad, we've got to earn the right to challenge them. So let's take on the final rival fight of this run. Barry leads with Staraptor and I lead with Empoleon. Penguin is only here to bait a close combat for Rotom to switch into, and since it's got a Choice Scarf, it's locked into using a move that can't even hit us. A single Thunderbolt is enough to deal with Barry's first Pokemon, and he sends out Arcanine second. I swap into Gastrodon, who's making an appearance really soon after being caught. She's here because I'm totally okay losing her to a crit, but if she survives, we should get a free KO on a pretty tough Pokemon. Perfect. With that close combat defense drop, Surf makes quick work of Barry's fire type, and he brings out Life Orb Breloom third. Since it should be going for Bullet Seed, I swap to Swellow, who... Very cool. Sorry. Well, I'm glad I brought another flying type as a backup, so Crobat comes in and gets an easy revenge KO with Fly, and that brings out Snorlax next. This thing finally doesn't have Crunch in its moveset anymore, so I bring in Drifblim, who's totally immune to both of its attacking moves, Body Slam and Earthquake. I didn't think the AI would swap immediately, so I accidentally poisoned the Guts Heracross, which isn't awesome. So to play it safe, I just sack Gastrodon here, making sure I get Crobat in safely. Here for a good time? Not a long time. A 4-time super effective Fly makes quick work of the bug fighting type, and Snorlax comes back out next. I learned from my mistake this time, so after I bring in Drifblim, I immediately swap him out at the same time as Snorlax. That brings out 2 Empoleons on the field at the same time, but mine has the better moveset. Barry's best move here is Hydro Pump, but I've got Rock Smash, doing about a third and getting defense drops. With our leftovers keeping us healthy, we've got a crazy advantage here. So after a few turns, Barry's starter goes down, and he's only left with Snorlax, but as we know, Drifblim completely walls it. That means with one switch, I've won this battle. It takes a few turns for Toxic to do its thing, but in the end, Snorlax goes down, and we've got nothing standing in our way from taking on the Pokemon League. It's time to start cooking up our Elite 4 team. I mentioned it at the beginning of the video, but in Renegade Platinum, there's a cool twist on the Elite 4. Each of the members and the champion have 4 different potential teams, and the one we end up battling is completely random. So for example, we could fight Team 3 against Aaron, then Team 4 against Bertha, you get the idea. That means we also really can't plan out any lines. We've got to build a solid team that can deal with any potential threats. Last time I was here, I built a Sun-Rain hybrid team, but today we're going all in on Rain. With Drizzle Pelipper, we get permanent Rain setup every time he switches in, and that combos great with our next Pokemon, Swift Swim Mantine. It was between her and Love Disc, so I decided to take the bulkier option over the harder hitting one. To round out our Rain core, I cashed in my fossil encounter at the Mining Museum and brought Artist the Omastar onto the team. With Shell Armor preventing critical hits and a really cool resistance profile, he should check some really important boxes for us. Speaking of checking boxes, Weavile should do some major work against Lucian with Technician Assurance, and Sceptile is a great counter to most of Bertha's team with his speed and power. That leaves only one spot left, and we need a supportive piece. And what better Pokemon than the one I've been protecting the entire game, Blissey. She turns every special attacker into a speed bump, and most of the random teams actually do lead with a special attacker. Can these 6 Pokemon handle all of the potential 20 teams we've got to take on in this Elite 4? Let's find out. The first Elite 4 member we gotta take on is Aaron and his team of bug types. He leads with Yanmega and I lead with Pelipper, who sets up the Rain with Drizzle. We're up against Team 1, which is alright for us, mostly because we're up against a special attacker. You know what that means. We've got Thunder Wave for this one to keep its speed boost ability in check, then slowly work its HP down with Seismic Toss. Second up is Heracross, so I swapped into Mantine on a resisted Megahorn for a bit less than half. From here, it's time to unleash our strat for this run. In the Rain, not only is our Swift Swim ability making us the fastest Pokemon in the battle, but it's also making our Stab Hurricane perfectly accurate. That gives us a super effective 110 base power move to start spamming at Aaron's bug types, starting with Heracross. Third up is Armaldo, who's the perfect candidate for our other stab option, Rain boosted Surf. The rock type goes down just as fast as it came in, and Aaron sends out his ace Drapion fourth. Since this isn't actually a bug type, we've got to swap here. So I bring in our newly restored fossil, Omastar, who's got the Shell Armor ability. That prevents all critical hits, which is Drapion's main goal, with Scope Lens and Sniper and high crit rate moves. It does use super effective Earthquake, which could make this a little complicated, but it only did 80 damage. So with our held Citrus Berry, we can stay pretty healthy before we hit an Earth Power, dropping Drapion down to the red. After a full restore, I decide to save some HP on Omastar, so I swap into Sceptile on a resisted ground move. From here, our Hoenn starter gets a KO with a Dragon Pulse, and that brings out Vespiquen 5th. it should be going for bug type attack order, so I swap into Weavile, who's got a Focus Sash to survive it on 1 HP. Without a priority move to threaten us, we outspeed and take it down with super effective Icicle Crash, leaving Aaron with only his Scizor left alive. I swap to Omastar on the incoming Bullet Punch, and it does a bit too much for my liking, so I swap to Pelipper instead. Since it's doing damage to itself with Life Orb, a single rain boosted Surf is enough to take care of the final Pokemon of the battle. With that, we've made it through 1 of 4 Elite Four battles, and they only get tougher from here. Grandma Bertha is second up in this Elite Four gauntlet, and she leads with Hippowdon and I lead with Omastar. This means we're up against either Team 1 or Team 2, which are definitely the tougher teams than the Tyranitar ones. The bright side of these ones is that Omastar should win the opening matchup all on his own, connecting with a super effective Surf that gets a one-shot KO, even without the rain boost. Second up is Donphan, meaning we rolled our worst matchup, Team 1. On the bright side, Donphan isn't as bulky as Hippowdon, so we can just get another KO with Surf here, getting Omastar his second KO of the battle. Third up is Wishcash, so it's Sceptile's time to shine, swapping in on a... well, that's not ideal. Thankfully, even at +1 speed, Sceptile is still faster than our reoccurring character here, getting a one-shot KO with a Choice Specs boosted Energy Ball. Bertha sends out Gliscor 4th, so I pivot through Omastar, baiting an Earthquake that Pelipper can come in on for free. That gets the rain set up, so after a pivot through Omastar, we get Mantine in for free for another Swift Swim sweep. Surf makes easy work of Gliscor, and then the toughest Pokemon of Team 1 comes out, Golem. With a Focus Sash, we can't one-shot it, and that puts our flying type at risk to a super effective Thunder Punch or a Stone Edge. To counter it, we've got a Focus Sash of our own, letting us survive what would have been fatal damage, then we can take care of Golem with another Surf. That leaves Bertha with only her ace, Rhyperior, but since it doesn't have a priority move to punish our low HP, we safely outspeed and take care of the Rock Ground type with a 4x super effective Surf. That's half of the Sinnoh Elite Four taken care of, so let's keep this going. Flint and his fire types are third on the menu for this Elite Four dinner party. He leads with Rapidash and I lead with Pelipper. We've got Team 2 on our hands here, which is the worst one, again. My luck has been crazy so far. At least we do get the rain up, so I swapped to Sceptile on a 4x resisted Wild Charge, getting a Mega Horn for Mantine to switch into, but it just missed anyways. Swift Swim is doing some heavy lifting again, letting us outspeed the normally faster Rapidash and get a KO with a rain boosted Surf. That brings out Infernape second, but since it doesn't stand a chance without having the speed advantage, a Surf takes care of Monarch's doppelganger, and Flint decides he hasn't donated enough Pokemon to me since he sends out his Ace Magmortar third. Another fire type without any way to outspeed my Swift Swimmer? Bye! Half the team down, and next up is one of the reasons this team is so hard, Lopunny. With our held choice specs, I can't use super effective Hurricane without switching out, so that's exactly what I do, bringing in Omastar as Lopunny sets up the sun. It should see a high jump kick as the highest damage into us, so I protect, causing it to lose half its HP from crash damage before I swap into Pelipper, getting the rain back up and tanking a resisted fighting move no problem. We do this cycle a few more times, then bring in Mantine to finish the job with a rain boosted Surf, taking care of one of the 3 non-fire types and bringing out another one, Steelix. If anyone thinks Steelix is surviving a choice specs boosted, rain boosted, stab, super effective Surf, please, I am begging you, brush up on your 6th grade math. That leaves Flint with only his Drifblim left, so I bring in Weavile too. Well, this isn't gonna work anymore. Good thing I happen to have a great answer for special attacking Pokemon. Blissey doesn't get to add another KO since we only have Seismic Toss to damage and that doesn't hit ghost types. But after wasting all of its PP of Hurricane and Shadow Ball, Mantine is safe to come back in while taking a Flamethrower, then take care of the final Pokemon with a couple Surfs. That's Flint down, and there's only one battle left before we get to fight for the title of Champion. Lucian is the final guard of Cynthia's room, and I'm sure as hell not letting this run end here. He leads with Alakazam and I lead with Blissey. We're up against Team 4, which is, say it with me, the worst possible outcome. Unfortunately for me and not for you guys, we've got to completely stall out every single PP that this thing has. That's the only way we can get our Dark type sweeper in safely. So after 70 turns, Alakazam finally starts to use Struggle, giving me a chance to get Weavile in for free. Lucian does heal with a full restore, but after 2 assurances, down goes Alakazam, and Lucian tries to get a foothold in this battle, bringing out his Ace Gallade second. Even though dark moves are neutral now, Choice Band Technician Assurance is still doing enough to get an easy one-shot here, getting rid of arguably the biggest threat on the team. Wait a second. If that's the biggest fish in the lake, why are we wasting our time with the minnows? Gardevoir, Metagross, Starmie, and Exeggutor all stand no chance against a Weavile on a mission, spamming Assurance like it's going out of style. With that, we're through all 4 Elite Four members, and there's only one wall left to break through, Cynthia. We head inside the champion's room, making eye contact with Cynthia, and we both know what's gonna go down. I said this back in Johto, but Cynthia, your title is mine. Cynthia leads with Milotic, and I lead with Blissey. This is Team 2, which is honestly our best matchup, maybe, so it looks like our luck is peaking at the perfect time. Obviously, we're gonna have to stall this thing out, but we replaced Seismic Toss with Brick Break for all the screens that Cynthia's potential leads have, so we're gonna have to rely on poison damage instead. It takes a while, especially with a full restore mixed in, but after a few turns, Cynthia's lead is gone, screens are broken, and Lucario comes out second. I swap to Pelipper to get the rain up, and then take an incoming Aura Sphere? Jesus Christ. Well, I bring in Mantine now on another fighting move that we actually tanked properly. Then on the next turn, we just get lucky with a critical hit surf, bringing down Lucario, saving me some HP on my sweeper. Third up is Ampharos, who my water flying type hates. So, guess who's back? This freak did hit all 5 Focus Blast PP, which is bullshit by the way, but Soft Boiled kept us healthy, then right before Toxic brings it down, I swapped to Sceptile to keep up the tempo. Oh, well, whatever. We're holding a Choice Specs, and our Stab Dragon Pulse should be enough to take care of the Electric Dragon type. Well, this is not going to be good. Ampharos retaliates with a super effective Dragon Pulse of her own, getting a one-shot KO on my Hoenn starter. Not exactly as planned, but we'll figure it out. Swift Swim Mantine is fast enough to get the revenge KO. Then when Cynthia sends out Garchomp next, it's time for the lead of this play to take his final bow. We outspeed and hit an Ice Beam, burning Garchomp's held Yachi Berry before a Stone Edge brings down our sweeper. Thanks so much for the carry, buddy. Weavile comes in for the revenge KO, firing off a priority Technician Ice Shard to take care of Cynthia's ace. That brings out Staraptor 5th, but since we still have our Focus Sash intact, I'm totally safe to stay in here, hitting an Ice Shard for like 3/4 before a Double Edge knocks us to 1 HP, then the recoil damage makes Cynthia's flying type just take itself out. That leaves only Spiritomb to deal with, and we're gonna have to play this super safe. Weavile does a bit less than half with Assurance, then falls to a Dark Pulse, leaving us in a 3v1 for the title of champion, but let's be real, we only need one. Who do you think I am? Almostar comes in, fires off one final rain boosted surf, and that's that. Cynthia's been defeated, we're the champions of Sinnoh, and we've officially beaten a hardcore Nuzlocke of Renegade Platinum. Thanks guys so much for watching this one. It was a grind to get this video out, honestly. I think it's my longest one ever, and my work in sports broadcasting really had me struggling to finish this up. But here we are, one game away from finishing the Drayano Gauntlet. If you liked the video, please press like or hit subscribe if you haven't already. This one really pushed my time management skills to the extreme. Remember to check out the Alestro's Awakened Kickstarter too. I'm really looking forward to the project, and I think you guys will love it. That being said guys, my name is Pom and Peas, or just P for short, and I'll see you next time.